Today we're going to discuss Analytics Desktop 10 from an advanced perspective, mainly focusing on the cubes. This is a follow-up video for the Analytics Desktop 10 Basics video. Into my environment here, I'm going to first look at this from a developer perspective. I have two different data sets that I want to export and utilize. So if I run this quickly, you will see I created a simple one with category, subcategory, year, quarter, revenue, revenue forecast, and profit. I removed the merging of the headers and the rows so I can export it smoothly into Excel in a reusable format. There's nothing to this, it's straightforward. And in the second data set, I took the quarter off. Let me edit this. Take the quarter off and kept the year, subcategory, category, revenue, revenue forecast, and profit. So in essence, I created an aggregate, a higher level aggregate. I exported both to Excel, and then I merged them into one Excel book into two different sheets. So here's the quarter level, again the quarter column, and the year level, it's got the year column, and now I'm ready to build my cubes. So what I want to demonstrate today, I'm going to go into the Analytics desktop and demonstrate to you the power of these cubes. First thing I want to create is our external data cube. Okay, so I'm going to add external data. I'm going to build one cube at a time. So I'm going to use this to choose a file. And here's my export. And I'm ready to use it. I'm going to use one cube, so I'm going to create a cube for a quarter. Alright, great. So I'm going to call it my MicroStrategy quarter cube. So that's the first cube. And it's ready to create a dashboard for me. Okay, so let me go ahead and create this dashboard, simple dashboard, and use my cube. Let's put category, quarter, year, profit, revenue. I'm not going to worry about visualizations. I'm just focusing on this piece of information. I'm going to order it correctly. So I got the year, quarter, profit, revenue, etc. Okay, so I'm good with this. I'm just going to save it. And let's just keep it, instead of cube, say dash. Alright. Good, so I got my first one up and running. But what if I needed to add some aggregation to my system and I needed to go here and I needed another cube, assuming the other cube was a different aggregation. In our case, we can use the year aggregation. So I'm going to go here and create an external data set from a file, same thing. Same file, I'm going to use the year sheet. I exported them separately and then I merged them into one Excel sheet. You don't have to do that if you're experimenting. And this time I just want to use one of them. I could have selected both. And say I created a year cube. So you know the assumption is these two might be coming from two different areas. Okay, so I'm going to close this and I'm going to go back to my quarter and let's run it. So here I have the first, and I want to add a data set. And I go locate my year cube and use it. And notice I have now two cubes. One is secondary, one is primary. But I'm going to show you there's a little bit of a problem, because what I would expect the behavior is if I remove quarter, then I'm going to be pulling data from here. And what I didn't show you here is after I exported these two, I went ahead and zeroed out everything for books, art, so I can see if there's a different when I roll up things. So I zeroed these manually, and now I would have expected, okay, well if I take quarter out, would it use the second cube? Do I want to remove it? And it's not using my second cube. And I want to be specific about this. Here we go. And the question is, well, maybe I should use one of these. So if I use a profit from here, it's cross-joining. So it's not like in this behavior. It's not working well with these two different cubes operating separately in the back end and trying to merge them or blend them in the front end. But there's a way to do this the right way, or a better way. Let me close out of this. I want to save. I don't want to save. So here's what I could have done. Let's go to choose one of them and edit it. Okay, what I could have done is add a new table. And here I could have chose which would be the year in this case. And here I could have added year to that quarter. And now if you notice these links next to the identical. So it's saying these two are the same, these two are the same, these two are the same. It's in essence joining for us. It's creating some sort of join pattern for us. So that way when we look at different things we can see them clearly. So now I'm happy with this. I'm going to update my data set. Let it refresh. Alright. Let me create a dashboard. And now, notice if I put category, subcategory, year, profit, notice it's 0 because it's pulling from the yearly aggregate. But if the minute I put quarter on this, there we go, they're not 0, they're pulling from the different table. So now there's a dynamic mapping going on. When the aggregate, the match is matching one table, it's going to go after the smaller subset. And when it has that different attribute quarter that differentiates, it's going to go to the larger or the more detailed level and grab information from there. So that way your two cubes are working smoothly together. I'll show you one more thing. Let's just save this cube just in case we need it. Now I'm going to go back to republish it. So here it's saying you can republish. So let's say I did change my data. I could browse and could have selected a new data source to update my data. And that way I could have replaced one thing with another if I was just simply replacing data and with the existing data. But sometimes you're doing what we're doing, which is blending. It's not really replacing, it's adding. So there's more detail into it, which is why we did the editing part and we added a table. From up here, you have an option also to modify some of your table properties. And you could have chosen the new table here, refresh, and you could have substituted one table with another. And that way you could have changed the level of aggregation by replacing the table in the cube. And then I could have updated my data set here. Now notice this one is no more at the year level, it's at the quarter level because I replaced the data set, so the name could be a little bit misleading in this case. But you saw how at the cube level I could actually have replaced it with a different aggregate if I had to, and that way I don't have any problems with subbing things for each other. I could have also have changed things at this level. So if I run this visual insight or this analytics, I could have replaced things at the cube level. So I could replace data set with a different data set, whether it's an enterprise version or an external, doesn't matter. And I could have replaced it directly with something specific like my year cube, which in this case now is going to look identical, but it doesn't matter. And it's showing us, okay, how do you want me to treat things? Well, if it's finding identical names, it'll try to match them up, but you can always change them in case it found the wrong one. And it's trying to say, oh, is the profit the same profit? Do I use existing? Do I keep definition? Maybe I can remove it. Maybe I can remove all these row counts because I don't really care for them. And once I'm happy with this, I'm doing this replacement. of cubes. Where does this come in handy, if you're wondering? Well, this comes in handy if you have somebody that created something off, like, say, a spreadsheet, and you're in the enterprise level, and now you don't want to use that spreadsheet. You actually want to use something that's built in your metadata. Well, in this case, you can replace the existing with an existing data set, but instead of referring to your cubes, you can go here and say refer to your data sets here, and it's saying, oh, how do I match it? Same story, and there you go. It matched everything. Now it's using the data set in the enterprise rather than the cube. So notice what we did. We built the dashboard based on a data set, a cube that was exported from external. Now, let's say your ETL team and your architect has brought in that table into your enterprise, and you don't want to be dependent on that external cube because of security, for any other reasons, for maintainability, for production reasons. And now you can swap over, and guess what? You don't lose any of your work, and unless you have some differences in your rows or your columns. That way you have to take care of them manually and figure out what changes do you need to add into your data set, or what things you can live without, and they will be dropped off of your dashboard in that case. Hopefully this gives you a little flavor about the power of cubes and the power of exchanging cubes and blending cubes together. And I guess the rest is up to you to explore and find out what else you can do with these cubes. Thank you very much.